Mary Peacock. Welcome to my first podcast on Let's Move with Mary. Today we're going to talk about why you may still want to sell your house after all. And my guest is Etch.
How's it going? Lots to talk about when it comes to the housing market. It's just insane right now. And things just keep on getting more crazy. Just when you think you've seen it all, it just kind of rears its head again and goes, check it out what I can do. Hold my beer.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, like 3 years ago, we were having multiple offers. When we say multiple offers, we're talking 15, 20 offers on one single house.
Yeah.
And raising that house price up by, I've seen it, $50,000 over list price.
Oh my gosh.
Is that crazy? Or
in cash,
what?
probably, right?
And a lot of cash. I'm like, where are y'all stuffing this money? Like, it's mattress money. So anyways, we're still seeing a little bit of that. And now interest rates came up. Interest rates rose up. Now everybody's kind of like on the fence. Like, do I buy? Because now my payment's going to go up. Well, I always tell my sellers, look, this is all situational because interest rates are always going to go up and they're going to go down. And there is always situations that why somebody's going to want to move. Like maybe you're getting divorced, Lord forbid, or maybe you're getting married, or your family's getting bigger, or maybe your family moved out and you're empty nesters now and it's too big of a house, so it's always a situation. You gotta look at the situation.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing to take away from it all, because it can be very overwhelming when it comes to just what do you do? The whole idea of selling it is great when you're first like, let's sell the house. And then you talk to a realtor, and then next thing you know, it's like, wait, what? We got to do what now? Yeah, you have to redo everything.
Oh, yeah, you should know
because,
you're in that situation
it's like
right now,
everything that you didn't think that you had to do. And the funny thing is my wife has already sold a house before. She sold multiple houses of hers before. Mm-hmm. So she kind of has the idea of what's going on, what to do. But then with all like everything that's happening recently with the housing market, it's like, okay, what do we need to know now? And one of the trends, I don't know if you've noticed this at all, but one of the trends that I've seen at least is that people are starting to panic because it's not selling within the first 5 days. And then they're like, price drop. Yeah. It's too high. It's like, hold. I'm trying to remember who is it, Carvana right now, that has a really great commercial with Dak Shepard and Kristen Bell, and they're trying to sell their car. And she's like, hold. And he's like, yeah, but now interest rates just went to this. She's like, hold. And it goes through, and then it shows like a year later, and then she's like, sell. But she was like, don't panic. Basically, the whole idea of it was don't panic. And I think that's at least what I'm seeing. A lot of houses, like we saw one locally here in Canadian Lakes that just came up on the market, and I was floored by the price that it was so low with such a square foot. It was like over 3,000 square feet in Canadian Lakes, right off the golf course, $300,000.
That's a good buy, but that's a strategy a lot of sellers are using right now, because buyers are getting to the point like they're just holding back because there's so much uncertainty. So as a seller, you've got to make it lucrative.
Yep.
I mean, you've got to have that curb appeal, and you've got to do the repairs where before you didn't really have to do a lot of repairs because we didn't have a lot of inventory, right? Yep. But right now, those repairs need to be done, and you got to have that curb appeal, and then you have to strategize with your pricing. And it's always good to really maybe come in a little bit lower, maybe a little bit under market value, and drive that price up because we still have lack of inventory.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling my sellers.
And it's I think coming from a seller's standpoint, it's a worry that there's not enough buyers out there, because it's like, oh man, like all these houses are sitting longer. Where are the buyers? I thought that there was more inventory than there was buyers, or less inventory than there were buyers. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's still plenty, like you were saying, I think there's still plenty out there. They're just doing the hold.
Yeah, they're just like, wait a minute. Like, okay, I'm calculating this. This is what it's going to cost me for this house. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. I mean, I did the same mistake myself. So I just renovated a house and I put it on the market. And I was that same seller. Like I put it at the top of the market because every seller wants, as
Top
much
dollar.
as they can get. And so I priced it where I thought that it would sell, and it didn't have any traffic. And I'm like, what's happening? And so I I'm like, okay, price drop. I dropped it 20,000, then I had multiple offers.
Oh, yeah.
So I just didn't hit that sweet spot, and
Yep.
that's what I tell the sellers. Like, it's best to actually do a little bit under market value, then at top of market value, and then the inventory, the lack of inventory that we are still experiencing lack of inventory, that will help drive the price up.
So where do people go from here if they're on the fence, whether they're selling, that kind of thing, or deciding whether or not they want to get, because a lot of people refinanced during the pandemic. They got down to that 3-4 percentile when it comes to the interest rates. And then from there, they're looking at saying, okay, cool. Well, our mortgage is only $700-800 a month right now.
Yep.
Okay, so let's sell. Let's buy something that's still within our price range. Hey, that looks really great. That looks lucrative. However, now we're talking 7 to 8%, which means all of a sudden, just like that, your
doubling your
month,
payment,
is
pretty
doubled
much.
per month.
Yeah.
So, I think that's where I'm at, of saying, what do you do in that situation? So if somebody is on the fence about deciding, is it the right time, what advice would you have for them?
It's always a great time to invest in real estate. I mean, interest rates are going to go up and they're going to go down, but housing prices are always going to go up. Now think about it this way. So this is what I'm telling everybody. Interest rates at one point in time in our past history has been 8 to 10%, right? Granted, housing prices were a lot lower than they are right now. Over the past 3 years, with the lack of inventory, is what's drove those housing prices. So just think about this. So if you have 8% right now, and we're starting to see a little bit more inventory because a little less buyers are in the playing field, right? Well, what happens if they go back down to 4%? Now, there is talk.
Yeah.
It's possible that they may go down to 4%. But then what's going to happen? We're going to be right back into all of those buyers are going to be like, oh, yes,
Right.
So, and the housing prices are going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
So why not buy now while they're at the 8%? I know it's a big gamble, but even at 4%, if they do go down 4%, you could always refinance.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
you've saved yourself thousands of dollars by buying the house this year.
Right. Yep. And that's where we were talking. We're like, you know what? Refinance. It's not going to hurt anything. We've already refinanced our house once down to the 3-4% range there when it happened.
There
and
was
we're like,
so
perfect.
many people that did that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working with lenders that they were so busy on refinances that the actual purchase contracts were taking a little longer because they were so bogged down with refinancing.
There was tons of them.
So, I mean, it was just crazy. And, will the interest rates go down? It's a possibility. There's so much uncertainty right now. But we are certain of what's right now. Like the housing prices are where they're at. Will they increase? Yes, they will increase. Because they always naturally do anyways. Usually between 4 to 8%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, I call them the unicorn years. They were, increasing between 11 to 15% in those years, which really was unheard of. Now, will it get back to that? Maybe, because we're still having a lack of inventory, as many buyers that are looking. And if it goes back to 4%, chances are, maybe even at the 5%, people will be like, oh yeah, okay, I can do that.
Yeah. And when you look at it that way, it's a little bit more lucrative, I think, to jump in on it. Because there's a lot of uncertainty, like you said. But you talk about let's revisit the curb appeal and upping the value of your home. Because right now it's kind of like before, I remember during the pandemic, we saw a house in Grand Rapids that popped up for sale and the roof was burned out of it, like straight up fire.
Oh my God.
And it sold for about $20,000 over asking price, which was the asking price was about $65,000. It went up to $85,000. I'm like, that was more than we paid for our house. Like, are you kidding me? And this doesn't even have a roof. But now it takes a little bit more to sell your house. You got to, like you said, up that curb appeal. So when it comes to upping that, first, it's, I guess, a series of questions for you. One of them would be, what's the one place that you would start to say, this is going to be something that's going to be a nice fix and just kind of automatically have somebody go, ooh, I like that?
Kitchens. Kitchens always sell, right? I mean, we all go into a house and where's the first place that we go is a kitchen? I mean, I do.
Yep.
I'm always looking like, oh boy, I gotta, if the kitchen's falling in, or not falling in, but the cabinet doors are falling off, or you've got the old outdated Formica, would it be worth the investment to upgrade that?
Yeah.
Well, for example, so I just got done renovating a mobile home, a double wide, okay? And it was in 90s. So I had a 90s kitchen. I had honey oak cabinets, and the flooring was really bad, and it still had a faux like butcher block.
Right.
Okay. So I didn't want to invest a lot of money into it because it was just a resale, right? So I was like, okay, what could give me the biggest bang for my buck? Paint. I painted the cabinets. We painted them a beautiful sage green. We changed the hardware into a gold hardware, which really made that faux butcher block pop. And then we put beautiful flooring down. And it just transformed that kitchen like crazy. And it sold. I mean, that's the first thing that everybody said, oh my gosh, I love these cabinets.
They were beautiful. I loved that color.
Yeah, so just something simple like that. I mean, a paint job like that cost me less than a couple $1,000s for the hardware and the paint and, to hire it out. So that was a super easy fix. Flooring's another thing. So looking at your flooring, if you have carpet that's wore out, buyers don't like that. So just do yourself a favor and go get some carpet and put some new carpet in. Or better yet, they really like the LVP flooring that comes down, and you can buy it very reasonable, like at Lowe's or Menards. And that's what we did. We just put the LVP through the whole house. Just stuff like that. If you're starting to see, maybe a new paint job, because if you live in the house, right? I mean, like me, I have dogs and I have grandkids, and I live in the house. So you look around and you're like, oh yeah, this could probably use a paint job. Or you open that door just a little bit too hard and that goes into the drywall. I swear we all have
every time.
Those,
every time. Especially if you have kids.
Yes. So even just little fixes like that, walking through the house and just kind of saying, okay, what would I want to see as a buyer? If you're a seller.
Right. Now, the second series of that question is, it's nice to say, like, just go out and get carpet. Just go out and buy this, buy that.
Yep.
So it's kind of one of those things of saying, well, I don't have the extra right now. However, what would your advice be on, like, saying, well, hold for a minute, get the stuff done, and saying equity's higher than it probably was when you first bought the house, and doing a HELOC, and then, which is a home equity line of credit, and then improving the curb appeal a little bit with that, and then using that equity for itself.
It's a great idea, actually. I had some people do that. I've actually had some people that, maybe put a couple, $2,000-$3,000 on a credit card, which I would never advise, but I had them do that because they knew that $2,000-$3,000 was probably going to get them double that.
Yeah.
And they would be able to pay that off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just even worn out carpet in brilliant paint colors. As much as I love yellow in a house, absolutely love yellow. It's like the happiest color ever, right?
Yep.
A lot of buyers can't see through that. They really can't. They want to have neutral coloring. So, and not just white, like maybe an eggshell or a light gray seems to be the big color now. Or a taupe. Like a really light sand color. Dark colors make a room feel really small. So what you really want to do is make it feel more spacious. Another thing, dark curtains. Lose the dark curtains.
Yeah.
Like put some light curtains on. Open the windows when you were showing. Not literally, but open the windows. Not when it's cold outside.
Freezing, especially in Michigan. Goodness.
Yes, we're starting to get cold, aren't we?
Yeah.
So just little things like that really will make a big difference.
One of the things that we just did with just trying to open the space a little bit more, make it look a little more, we had some of the lighting that was like, I don't want to say chandelier, but it's those ones that just kind of hang down a little bit. And even just the ones that are like the the contractor, like, here's the one that's got like the little, it's a circle, you stick it up there.
Are you talking about the pendulum lighting?
Yeah, that
so
kind of
stuff.
stuff.
The pendulum lighting, and then you had like the contractor.
The contractor standard that's just, the circle one that goes up there, you screw it in, it's a big, bubble on the ceiling. And we were looking around at like, what can we do with this? And they have these great options. I don't know if you've seen these before, but they're, because we have an old house, and one of the problems is the bones aren't basically where you would think they're going to be. So all the different like studs that you would normally use to put in like a recessed lighting can and stuff aren't necessarily where the holes for the light already is. So they have these ones now that are low profile, and they're LED that are only about this thick. So they're about an inch thick, and they have these two little things that pop off on them, and it's basically you just click your electrical wires into them, you put it up in the hole there, and then the little things hold it into place, and you've got recessed lighting. And it has opened up that space so much to where it's like, wow. It's a huge difference.
It's even amazing just even changing out lighting.
Yeah.
How that can upgrade a house.
Yeah.
And just like you said, you could do it for inexpensive. It's just, a lot of people think that they need to take out walls and put granite countertops and stuff like that. You don't really need to do that to spruce up a house to make it more curb appeal. What buyers are looking for is to be able to walk into the house and feel at home. Cozy, like they could actually see themselves there.
Right.
So I tell my sellers, depersonalize too, because a lot of us love, I love my grandkids' pictures everywhere.
Yep.
And all of my knickknacks and stuff that you got to dust around. My sellers, I just tell them, you're going to pack that anyways because you're going to move, right? So, that's the end goal. So let's start packing it all away. And let's take all those pictures down and make it so, like if somebody walked in your house, it looks like a staged house. How many times have you walked through, like you might have went to model homes and they had them staged?
Yep.
And you were like, oh, I really like this.
Yeah.
Ooh, I really like this. It's because you could see yourself in it without somebody else being there.
Right.
And that's the goal for your house when you're trying to sell something. So minimize your furniture, minimize, the appliances on the countertops. Take all that stuff off your refrigerator, all of the magnets. If you have a wall of pictures, I have showed a lot of houses, and when buyers have that, or when sellers have those pictures, like a family collage of pictures, I can't get them off the wall because I want to see if they know the sellers. Oh, I think I know her.
Right.
I'm like, come over here and see this master bedroom.
Right. Oh man, yeah, we were touring one house. It was about a month and a half ago, and we walk in. We're like, oh yeah, clearly somebody lives here. Obviously, whatever. I walk in about 3 steps to the right, and I look, and teenage boys' underwear everywhere. I'm like, oh.
He obviously did not get the
he didn't get the memo that it was going a showing today. Either that or mom was just like, hurry, get out of the house, grab the dog. But it was funny though, because I was kind of like, oh, this feels like my house because this is normal. People live here. But no, you're right. They do want to see something they can picture themselves in, and I think that's a big point to bring out when it comes to, again, those things that you don't think of when the idea of let's just sell. Let's go. I like that house that I saw over at this place.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just put it on the market.
That one better, so
right.
let's sell this one.
Be prepared.
Another thing too, I'm an animal lover, and I know you are too. But I've gone into some houses that they want to sell, and it smells like animals.
Yeah. It's hard.
And that is such a turnoff to buyers. Well, even to us. Like, I'm a dog person. So I love cats, but I'm more of a dog person.
Yep.
But cats do have their scent, and it's a lot of buyers can't get past that if they can smell it.
Yep.
So that's another thing, just even if you're used to it and living in it, have somebody come over with your friends and like, is everything smelling okay in here? Can you just let me know?
What was that, Renews It? Was it Renews It or Glade? One of the two had a commercial like back in the day that it was not back in the day, a couple years ago where they're like, no, Mary, you're nose blind. And they're like, what? And it's like, you're nose blind. What is that supposed to mean? You don't smell the garbage because you're used to it, is what they're trying to say there. Yeah. But no truer words have ever been spoken, because we have dogs, obviously. Yeah. And then when we had my dad come over, and he was like, it's like, smell like dogs.
Smell like wet dog.
Like, what are you talking about? I don't smell dogs. He's like, it smells like dogs in here. I'm like, God dang it. So we had to do like the whole, get the cleaners out and like the carpet stuff that sprays down foam and all that. And funny thing is we just had the carpets professionally done. So it was one of those things of going, what extra can you do without putting too much scent?
So I will tell you something that is kind of a tidbit for pet odor. I always recommend getting yourself an air purifier. You can take it with you.
Yeah.
And the air purifier will take the smell out of the room.
Nice. Good. That's a good tip. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And plus it works really well when it's stuffy in the winter too.
Exactly. It helps with dust. It helps with pet dander, pet smell, cooking smell. But that's another thing. People don't realize that. They might just made dinner, and maybe they made some spicy Asian dish or something. You know?
Thai. Oh.
Yeah, Thai.
Or curry.
Curry,
Curry's a big one.
And that could be a turn off to a buyer too when you're walking in right after dinner. So
smell a little sweaty. I'm trying to get. It smells like armpit in my house. This is great. How much for this house? I love the smell of armpit. I wish I could bottle that scent.
Oh, another thing that a cigarette smoker.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a cigarette smoker and you smoke in the house, you might want to think about smoking outside of the house and doing some, maybe a paint job and kills over that, and a deep clean on the carpets, because that's another thing that buyers just do not like.
It still surprises me that people still smoke in their house. Like, I could never. The smell of it, I don't smoke, but just the smell of it, like, and it's so, like, people who are non-smokers just don't like it. They're like, nope. Even really former smokers are like, I don't like it. There's a reason why I got away from it.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'm a former smoker myself. I gave up that bad habit up like 15 years ago, but I never did in my house. I would always go outside. I don't in my car, just for that fact, because when you walk in, you're like, oh my goodness sakes. It's kind of like that cat smell.
Yeah, right? Just hit you. Hit you good.
It does just hit you.
Yep.
So, I mean, smells are big, and everybody's like, well, we can do a paint credit, or we can do a carpet credit or something of that sort. I find that never works.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. Buyers want to be able to move in and not do anything.
Yep.
Or they want to do what they want to do with it.
Yeah.
But it's got to appeal to them first to even want to make it theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So the smells, the visual, all of that's so important.
And it all comes back into the topic, which is it a good time to sell your house? So in closing, what would be your takeaway from all this?
I would say it's always situational. If the situation in your life has got you thinking about selling, then it's a good time to sell.
I like it. I think that's a great way to end it. So thanks for hanging out with us in our first podcast. Yeah. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Thanks for visiting. Bye.